Hello, everybody. This is BK International Talent Scout. I'm coming to you live. My producer's out of the country visiting his family. So I'm just coming to you live today. And I want to talk to you about a dream I had about a pastor who had lost his church building. And in the dream, the Lord said, I'm making a covenant with a pastor who has lost his church building. This was a dream I had months ago. I shared about it on a post. I did another short post, but man, today I was just thinking about it. Think if you have a church and you were able to maintain rent on your church building through the pandemic, what a blessing. If your church had a mortgage and you guys was able to maintain the mortgage to keep the church, what a blessing. Now imagine a church or a pastor who lost his church building. Just imagine what this person's going through. I remember a story. I won't say the church's names or denomination, but there was a church that was like burned down, and they needed to have a place to have service. This one church in the community, they had church service like on Saturdays. So Sundays was open. And so this pastor, uh, what he did was he made his church available to this pastor for, man, I want to say maybe like 1 or 2 years. He allowed this person to have church in his building for like 2 years until his church was rebuilt because it was burnt down to the ground. That was a man who lost his, that's an example of a man who lost his church building. Now, I want to talk to you about in this dream the man that lost his church building. The Lord said, I'm making a covenant with a man who lost his church building. Like, what does that mean? I'm making a covenant with a man who lost his church building. Imagine a church that is homeless. That means equipment in storage, chairs in storage. Uh, your name is removed from the outside of the building. You no longer own the building. That would be kind of like a homeless church. And if we speed up, a lot of people had to like learn how to do church outside of the building during the pandemic, and even churches now are just going straight YouTube. So I want to talk to you about, think about that pastor who's experiencing loss. And if he's experiencing loss, he's experiencing all lost. Like, the church building was the gathering place, the church building was the prayer place, the church building was the eating place, the church building was the rehearsal place, the church building was the meeting place. And so imagine a pastor having to like redirect everything outside of the church building, use Zoom, use YouTube to try to keep his church alive. But what I want to talk to you today is about, you think about the loss that this person is having. And in this dream, the Lord was saying, I'm making a covenant with a man who's lost his church building. So if you lost your church building, I want to encourage you today that you can go to God in prayer because He's making a covenant with you. He's making a way for you to continue ministry, to continue service. And I believe that you're going to get another building. I believe another church will open up their doors, and you might have to have service on a Saturday afternoon or on a Saturday morning or on a Saturday night. But I believe God's going to put grace on other pastors' hearts that you can resume service. You might have to have service at your house. You might have to have service at on the phone, but I want to encourage you to continue your ministry because God has made a covenant with you. And ye should go back into the Bible and look at all the places that God has made covenant with people that were in loss. Oh, come on now. I said you should take a step back and look at all the places that God has made covenant with people that were at a loss. Come on now, you should get excited to know that God is making a covenant with you, man of God. God is making a covenant with you, woman of God, if you lost your building. God is going to touch somebody's heart to help you, right? If God, listen, I'm kind of getting excited because I'm beginning to imagine, to think about places in the Bible where God has made covenant with people. God has made covenant. Hey, God has made covenant with his people. God has made covenant with kings. God has made covenant with warriors. God has made covenant with families. Why? Because when God makes a covenant with you, that means God is about to go to work for you to help you get you what you need. I gotta do this. This has been on me. I talked to a few people. They was like, Brian, you gotta share this dream. Just like I shared the dream. Listen. I am not a prophet, but I'm a prophetic. Just like I had the dream, I was sitting up in the Sophers Church on a Sunday night. I was sitting there and I had an open vision of churches on life support systems. It blew my mind. It was like October of 2019. I shared it and people said, Brian, they were probably like, dude, you're way out there. What are you talking about? What are we seeing? What have we seen in the pandemic of 2020 and 2021? You've seen it. But now I had a dream a couple of months ago that God was making a covenant with a man who lost his church building. So if you have a church building and if you have a church, I want you to pray for people that lost their church building. If you pray for these people that lost their church building because God made a covenant with them, God's going to do some kind of work that church does not feel homeless, that pastor does not give up. Sometimes when we are at a loss, God turns it around for a gain. Come on, look at your neighbor. Somebody tell your neighbor, sometimes when you're at a loss, that's when God comes in to give you a gain. And if someone has any type of loss, they're going through a grieving process. Listen to me. Anybody that's going through any type of a loss, you're going through a grieving process. If you lose your job, if you lose your spouse, if you lose your integrity, if you lose whatever, when you lose, you go through a grieving process. So there is a pastor and there is a pastor's wife. You're going through a grieving process. And all I'm asking you to pray this week, pray for pastors that have lost their church buildings during the pandemic in the United States of America. Believe it or not, it has happened. It happened. I know that this dream was from God. I know I'm just supposed to share that. I'm asking you to pray for any pastor, any ministry that lost their building due to the pandemic. And I'm here to let you know that God is making a covenant with you, that God is willing to get in the fight with you, that God is going to make a way, some kind of way. He's going to touch some hearts. He's going to touch some people. He's going to give you a plan because he's in covenant with you, meaning he's walking with you, meaning that he's going to be with you, meaning that he's going to give you instruction, meaning that he's going to give you some type of hope. Because think about it. If you're a pastor and you're a shepherd over people, and the whole church is going through a grieving process because they lost their meeting place, you still have to lead those people. You still have to shepherd those people. You got to come up with creative ways, but I believe that God is going to make something good happen for you. Look, guys, I don't want to be on here long. Nobody wants to see like 1 hour videos or 1 hour clips. But you should search around in your community and see if there's anybody in your city, in your town, in your state, in your country. If they lost a church building, I'm just asking your church, your prayer team, your prayer warriors to pray for pastors that have lost their church buildings. Because the good news is God is making a covenant with you. God is coming into relationship with you. And I just want to end it with this. This is what I want to kind of end it with. When the children of Israel was in Egypt and they had lost their land, through Moses, God made a covenant with Moses and the children of Israel. He said, I'm going to take you to a land. I'm going to take you to a space. I'm going to take you to a city. I'm going to take you to a country, and I'm going to give you that land, that space, that country. Why? Because God was in covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and the children of Israel. He brought them out of slavery. He brought them out of countrylessness and put them into the promised land. So I believe there's a building for you. I believe there's a place for you. I believe that something's opening up for you, and you should be very encouraged today. And I'm doing this just because I think it's important. I just wanted to share the dream. it will make sense. If you look around, you get on the phone, you talk to some people. If you are a powerful leader, if you're an apostle, if you're a bishop, I want you to pray for people that have lost their buildings. And it's important that you make something happen. Look, guys, I'm going to end the video so I can share the video. I love you guys. And remember, pray for the pastors that have lost their church building. I'm signing off. My producer's out of the country, but I just wanted to come in and do this live. It's 15 minutes. I'm going to end and continue to pray for the pastor that lost his church building. This is BKO. And this is BK Talent Scout for BK Presents, coming to you live. You see the caption, Pastor lost his church. Pray for pastors that lost their church building. See you next week. God bless.